Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Today we are doing some wiring. Yes, I finally got all the parts in for the pick guard to get that done and over with. So let's go to it now. Alright, so I have my pick guard right here. I have the 3 pickups installed. I have my 2 CTS pots and my 5-way switch, which this is going to be a 5-way plus 2. Okay, so if you guys don't get that, I will show you in a bit of how I'm going to wire this. So there's 3 pickups, you have 2 single coils, and you have a humbucker that is going to be splittable. And what I'm using are Dragonfire Screamers. Yes, I know I should be more enthusiastic with Screamer, but nah, forget it. We also have a kill switch that's going to be installed. I'm going with the 0.022 ohm capacitors, all classic type wiring. And I have a couple of different switches here. Now, I believe these are 2-ways or are they 3-ways? This is a 3-way. And these are 2-ways, just on off, right? Yeah, these are 2-ways. So what do I mean about 7-way switching? All right, well, I found something online that's kind of interesting, and it's going to work out good with this. So what I want to do with this is I do want to make this to where it's going to be kind of like a standard Strat style, where you end up having all single coils. So I want to split the humbucker on this, but there's also another way to make it 7-way instead of just only 5-way, to where it gives you more options, more different types of tones. Now, the problem with wiring this up and stuff like this is not the standard Strat style wire. Okay, we'll try that again. It's not the standard Strat style wiring. Usually you would have 2 tones coming off of your 5-way switch. This is only going to have 1 tone, so it's not going to be able to split your mids from what was it, like the mid pickup to the high pickup or something like that. You're not going to be able to split it to where it's going to have 2 separate tones for 2 separate pickups. So this is going to be a little bit different, but somewhat the same, if you catch my drift. So I want to get into this right now. It's fairly easy to do this, and yeah, I kind of want to get done. So first off, I have the wires. They're all color coded here. I already have this all harnessed up over here, so it's going to be nice and neat. And I kind of want to make this area here as nice as neat as possible, I hope. So first off, what I want to do is I want to end up just tacking up all of the pickups where they belong on the 5-way switch. But there are a couple wires here that are going to be off to the side, off the humbucker, that are also going to be hooked up to a switch. And when you flip that switch, it's going to ground out part of that pickup, and it's going to become a single coil. So not sure how this is going to work out as far as all of the settings, but they will be in order of the way the switch is supposed to be. So enough talking, and let's get wiring. Alright, so I know I said I was going to wire up the pickups first, but I wanted to get the pots connected to this 5-way switch, and the 1 wire coming off that will be going to another switch that'll add 7. So what I have here, took a file and kind of went over the side a little bit of the tone and volume control. Why? Because it put some scratches inside of it, it makes a real secure bond for the solder to adhere to it, and it won't come loose. So I got my tone control all wired up and set up here. Got the jumper going to the volume, and then I have the jumper going over to the 5-way switch, and then there is a jumper going over to this side of the switch over here that'll control this side. Now, I used one piece of wire throughout all this, so it's not like a bunch of tap, 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 tap. This one here I added on just in case I don't like it. I can actually remove it. So right now I'm going to get into doing the rest of the wiring on here for the pickups. Alright, so the pickup wiring is pretty much done. I have a ground wire that I need to tack up still, going for the humbucker, and then I have these 2 wires here that have to be tacked together. Then we'll be going to another switch, and that switch will be grounded. So here basically it is. Pretty simple, pretty clean, you know, not messy at all. I left a little bit of wire here, so you know, just in case I got to move things around a little bit, I'll be able to. So next thing I need to do is I need to drill a couple holes for 2 switches, and, or actually 3 holes, 2 switches and a kill switch. Alright, so I got my hole drilled for the switch, and since it's by the 5-way switch, it's right next to it. So this will be off, that will be on, and then it'll give you different selections on the 5-way. So I'm going to go ahead and tack these guys up. Got one wire already kind of in place. I got to kind of wedge this thing up here so I can do this. You gotta be careful with these switches because they cannot handle a lot of heat. So if you hit them for a long time with the soldering gun, you can melt the little terminal that's connected to. So that's about it for that top one. Go ahead and slide the insulation over that, and then slide my little heat shrink tubing on there to make sure that it still works after I get done. And we'll go ahead and put this one over there as well. Make sure none of these wires are in the way of the 5-way switch. And go ahead and cut this one down to size. Cut myself a piece of heat shrinking tubing. Slide it over. Push back the insulation a little bit. That's why I like these cloth ones. This cloth wiring is really nice. I'll put this in place here to where it's touching it. And I don't have to hold it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put some solder on the wire. Place on top of the terminal and hit it with the solder real quick. There you go. Shouldn't come off. Go ahead and slide my tubing over that. Now first thing I'm going to do is check the switch to make sure the switch is still working. Use my continuity tester to do so. Pick up the insulation a little bit. I should hear probably nothing, I think. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm going to move up. Let's stay up. So I got nothing there. Flip it. When I mess the switch up. I hate that. Sometimes I don't like this stuff, but alright, so now I'm open. Okay. Alright, that's what I want right there. It's off. Now it's on. Alright, so the switch did not get messed up from the heat from the soldering gun. Go ahead and put my heat shrink tubing on there and hit it with the lighter. Get that to shrink up a little bit. There you go. That's one switch in. Now I have to figure out where I'm going to put the switch for, because I still have a kill switch that I'm going to put someplace over here, and I still have the switch which will probably go someplace over here or over here close to the volume knob. I don't know. Let's see. I'm running out of room here. Probably somewhere over here between the volume knob and the switch will be the other switch for the coil splitting. And I got to figure out where I'm going to put the kill switch at, which that's going to be fun because I kind of want to do this in a way where all of your strumming is not going to be in the way of all these switches here. So I'm going to do some finagling and figuring out, and I want to fit this on top of the body of the guitar to make sure that nothing is in the way from the you know, the way that it's cut out and for the cavity, you know what I mean? So I'm going to check that. So far so good. Everything is fitting where it's supposed to be and not causing any problems. I've got the bolt switches put in, and I found a spot to put the kill switch. So now what I'm doing is wiring up the kill switch. Now on this kill switch here, basically what it's going to do is ground out everything to kill it all at one shot. And every time you push the button, it grounds out the whole circuit and causes just silence. So what I want to do is I got to put a little solder on this black wire right here. Clean my soldering gun and put my glasses on because that makes it a lot better to see. So I'm going to go ahead and put some solder on there. Quite a bit. And then I'm going to take this wire here and ground it to the top. Ground it to the top of the pot. And the remainder part of this wire will be going to the bridge, well, to the cloth for the bridge. I got my output wires right here. That's already in place. Go ahead and tuck that, move that over because I have to disconnect the wire for the output jack because I have another wire that is going to be tied in with that. And that'll be the other end of this switch here. So I'm going to go ahead and feed that through here. I'm going to use this wire here, basically do the same thing. I'm going to end up scarring the insulation, and see, I'll scar it over here. Peel some of the insulation back without cutting the threads that are inside of here. That's a little part right there. If I don't have to add a bunch of jumper wires, or you know, if I can make one wire tap different locations, the better it is. Because every time you have to make a connection, that's adding resistance. So for every connection that is like a tap, that adds a little bit of resistance to the circuit. And this, I don't want to add any more resistance to it than what there already is from the pickups. Okay, so what we can do with this is heat up the insulation a little bit to melt it. And slide it back. Just like that. Make sure I have all the windings that are loose. Got a little straggler right here that I want to get rid of. And I want to take this and bend it like that. Put a piece of heat shrinking tubing on it. Do I have a piece that'll fit on there kind of loosely? Slide this in place here, like that. solder on that end. Get the melt on there really good. And then connect that to where the output of the pot comes off of. Okay, so that's wired. Hopefully my heat shrinking tubing didn't shrink. And I can slide that right over that. Hopefully. Yeah, it's moving down. This guarantees me that no connections are going to end up touching each other with the heat shrink tubing on there. Protecting everything as it's where's my lighter at? There it is. Just basically protecting everything. Shrink that up a little bit. Alright, so here is my output jack right here. And what I want to do is I want to get some heat shrinking tubing and make that a solid piece. Probably not this one, no. This one might be a little bit too tight for all the wire to go through. No, I can do it. Alright, here we go. So there's the output jack harness. Get that to shrink real nice. So we're good with that. That's done. So the pickguard is wired. Everything is set up on there. I don't have to worry about anything. So let's go ahead and start testing things out. So keeping in contact with the owner of this guitar, he requested basically he wanted a kill switch put on. So I was like, okay, no problem. But I wanted to ask him a few questions about, what type of music that he plays and stuff. So he told me about that. And I wanted to ask him, is it okay if I kind of do a little bit of configuring as far as pickup selection and turn the humbucker into a single coil and stuff. And he basically said that he trusts my judgment. And so this is what I came up with for him. So right now, it kind of looks a little bit of a clusterfuck around here, but there's not much I could do. They don't give you much room, and I don't feel like altering the body in any way to try to fit everything in. So I just have everything put in the way it is right now, spaced out a little bit. Still can get to the volume, still can get to the tone control, still can get to everything else that's as far as the switches go. So right now what I got going on is I'm going to do a little bit of a test as far as pickup selection and stuff goes. So I'm going to put my headphones on top of the camera. Yeah, this is going to be fun. So let's see how this works. As long as it doesn't fall, I'm happy. So right now as it is, it should be set for full humbucker as a regular 5-way switch would be. So I have full humbucker, dead, dead. Now this should be humbucker and single coil. Should be just single coil. And this should be single coil and neck. And then this should be just neck. Now where the other two, to make it a 7-way switch, where the other two comes in, is at this switch right here. So if I flip this switch down, that's going to change everything here. So as you can hear, I have the humbucker and the neck single coil. If I flip it here, got everything is all on. Those are your other two switches. Now when you flip the switches anymore on the 5-way, it's basically kind of just the way it normally would work. Now another kicker is, if I flip this, you could have the configuration any way you want with this humbucker set. Well, what if you wanted a single coil? Now you're at single coil. Dead, alive. And the 5-way switch plus 2 works exactly the same way. So it minuses the humbucker, turns it into a single coil, and everything still works the same way as it would with the switch. Plus, kill switch. All right, so let's kind of like get everything back the way it was before my camera falls. So the pick guard fits perfectly on top of the body with plenty of play to move it around in case I need to, line things up a little bit better. So I notice kind of where the hole is over here, it's kind of facing a little bit off that way, and I could probably move it just a hair over and still have the neck fit just the way it's supposed to in the pocket. Nothing is going to ground itself out on the inside with the shielding tape. Nothing's touching the edges. It just dropped in really nice. Now I'm waiting for the bridge. The bridge is, well, it shows that it was delivered to my address, but I never received it. So I ordered another bridge for this thing, and hopefully that'll come in the next couple of days. I want to mount the neck, put the bridge in place, and find out exactly where, if I need to shim up this neck or not. And then when I get the neck done, as far as the tuners and everything, there'll be another video. Put the tuners on, I can line up the pick guard underneath the strings so all the pole pieces are where they're supposed to be under the string. Everything will line up, everything will be all right, and I'll be able to get this thing back to the owner pretty soon. Yeah, I'm kind of liking this configuration. Looks like everything where the strumming area is going to be out of the way, I hope. Can't do much with the volume control because that's pretty much where it is. And then these switches will be protected from hitting them because of the volume and the tone control as well. So it should be pretty much pretty damn good, I hope. Thanks for watching, guys. This one's a little bit longer than the usual videos I've been making about this thing. And rock on, everyone.